Hi everybody, it's Jean here. I'm in my front room and I just wanted to show you that I have finished my clamshell quilt. The quilt that went on forever. I was using, as you know, if you've been following along, I was using a quilting ruler, the Westalee quilting ruler in the clamshell design. It's designed for like a free motion quilting stitch around these plexiglass rulers, if you've not seen it before. And it makes decorative designs on the top of your quilt. Well, I was very ambitious and I started this, the first project I've ever made, using this ruler that's this big on a quilt that's this big. Anyway, I've taken pictures of it. I'll show you up close outside. But this is my massive quilt that I am done. I'm finished. Hopefully you can see just the design, because I've been working on this for several weeks, and then, as you know, if you've been following, I got very ill. And so I had to just give it a rest, because literally trying, even though my machine has a slightly larger throat for quilting, it was hard to get it all of this into my my machine, but I did it. And again, you probably can't see it here, but the whole body, all of the squares have been quilted with this little ruler this big. And actually, I tell you, I ended up using one of them. I ended up using a ruler about this big. I just used one of them. I had trials and tribulations using that ruler. But I started it and I finished it. I just thought, I'm going to just finish it. I started it. I don't like having unfinished projects. And I'm thrilled. I'm really thrilled and pleased with the way it's turned out. Again, I'll show you some close-ups of it. So not perfect. I shifted the ruler. I broke the ruler. I took a great hunk out of it. I'll show you that in a little clip. Right as I finished, I'm going to show you. Just hang on after this, because I show you what I did. The ruler's still usable. So this is my clamshell quilt that I've been working on. Doesn't usually take me this long, but as I said, I had gotten ill, and this was a huge project. I will use these rulers maybe again on a smaller project. As I was saying when I was finishing up, it was a bit silly of me to embark on such a huge project. The backing of this quilt is, again, if you've been following, this real pretty tan and cream toile. This is a Moda line. I forget what it's called, but it's a Moda line. I used a jelly roll, some charm squares, and then about 3.5 yards of the white, and then the border fabric to make this fairly decent sized quilt. It's about 90 inches by about 95 inches. And then I just bound it with this pretty peachy salmon around the edges. So there is my clamshell quilt. Done, finished. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I spent very quick, but I spent quite a few hours doing the quilting on this. It was a very ambitious project, but it's done. So I'm just gonna edit this video, and I'll throw it up on YouTube so you can see up close all of my million clamshells. Seeing clamshells in my sleep. Again, as I said, not perfect. This quilt had a lot of seams. I addressed that in one of my previous videos. And to hold the ruler, to hold the fabric, to push the fabric, to push the presser foot around, it takes some doing. It takes some doing. But I'm very, very proud and very pleased with the result of my quilt. So that's the saga of my clamshell quilting ruler project. So yeah, very, very proud of myself. Okay, so now I'm just going to show you some still pictures that I took outside of the details of my quilt. Okay, thanks for following along, folks. Bye. All right, folks, I've just finished my last clamshell. Oh my word. Yeah, in the body of my quilt. I have finished all of these, and I'm pleased. I have to finish the sashing here and my border. I don't know what I'm going to do. Let me just see. I'm going to take off this how do I do it? This presser foot here now. Get rid of this thing. As you can see, it's a real thick one that goes around this thick ruler. But I got to show you something. Can you see it? Can you see that? I don't know if you can see it. See a big chunk out of my Westalee ruler? Oh, mate. I'm telling you. As you know, this was this quilt was a bit of a challenge. Let me put my presser foot on my regular 1/4-inch foot on here. This quilt was a challenge, and using this ruler, not hard, but somebody said, oh, in the comments, as one of my videos that I was showing how I was doing it, somebody said, oh, you're moving your ruler, and I'm like, as you're going along, you're moving your ruler. I can see, and I'm like, yeah. As I was saying, you have to hold on to this ruler, and you've seen the videos before. It's hard. So I ended up doing, as you know, this is what is 6 blocks across 7 rows down. I did most of the quilt this way. I started from the bottom and went up this way. But the last few rows I had, before I got sick, I had about 2 rows, 2 rows to do. And I found instead of holding all of this quilt over here and on my lap and on my ironing board and on my thing, I'm just going to start, and I did them upside down. I did manage to line up and do them upside down. And they worked pretty good, although in the middle here, over here, my ruler kept shifting. If anybody's wondering, my ruler kept sort of moving because I was sort of pushing on my ruler with my presser foot, and it sort of kept moving. So in here, in the middle or wherever, I don't know, all over the quilt, these clamshells got very small. So they're even smaller than this. Like, oh my word. So then I had difficulty. My thread kept on threading, and I'm like, what? Like, this is ridiculous. But it was, I think, because I'm quote free motion quilting. I think it was because I was going too slow. So I thought, okay, I can fast free motion quilt. So I started fast free motion quilting, and look, it jumped, and it took a great chunk out of my ruler. And you know how when you break a needle and you're like, and your needle goes flying and you close your eyes? Well, look at that, this great big chunk of plexiglass. Has that ever happened to anybody? It sort of skipped, and I'm like, oh, mate. The whole process, Westalee design, so steady, clamshells. I love the look. I really love the look. Silly of me to start. Silly of me to start on a massive quilt. That was just so stupid. Live and learn. But, like, I don't know if you can see that, but, like, it is really nice. So not perfect at all. Oh, somebody also had mentioned this line here. They're for half clamshells. Well, that's if you're doing it, like, perfect and you know what you're doing. I did find that line here and here very, very, very helpful to at least keep my clamshells all going vertically straight up, so that when I came literally to my last row, I'm thrilled. Because someone said you have to start at the top, and I realized that afterwards. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have like a half of a clamshell. Well, it just worked out that way. My clamshell tops started or ended at the top, whatever. And also, I found that I couldn't do, or I was more comfortable, and it took me forever. I just did one. I just did like one, and like to get over to this one, my ruler was shifting, so I just did one. I'm like, go around, and then I just went like that. around. I mean, it might like defeat the purpose, and it looks, like I said, it looks easy, but man. So now I have to finish this quilt. You've seen it forever now. My body's done with my clamshells. Oh, when this broke, I'm like, oh no. But I just sort of, again, I just sort of almost just used it, you know, as more of a, where's my foot? I sort of just used it as more of like a guide. I got to that point, and there'd be a divot, like, wah. So some of them have like a little divot on the top where that thing. But then I got the hang of it, and I just sort of like went around, and as I said, I use this as I got used to it. I use this ruler almost more, like I say, as a template. Like I would just sort of like wing it, like, and you know, do it around, and I'm thrilled with my end result. Yeah, I'm thrilled with my end result. Will I use these rulers again? Most probably on a smaller project. Yeah. Like I said, this was just a bit ridiculous of me. But I'll show you close-ups of my quilt when I'm done. Now I have to just do something in here. I literally think I'm just going to do a straight stitch because I just want to be rid of this quilt. I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it that I did it. Very proud of that I did it. But my rulers, it has been a journey, folks. So I'll show you some close-ups, or maybe not, of my quilt. And I got to figure out how I'm going to do the borders. And I'll figure it out. Okay, thanks.